And welcome back to We've Got Nothing. That's the name of this podcast. Francis Leach here with Mr. Craig Harper.
Hello, mate.
And Bianca Chatfield, superstar netballer and erstwhile philosopher. How are you?
I'm good. Was a superstar netballer.
No,
You
always.
were.
Let's just clarify that.
Well, at least you acknowledge that you were.
Yeah, that's true.
And what are you philosophical about?
This.
I don't know, yeah.
Read it.
No, don't even do it.
Just so you know.
Don't even start.
Build a life around those things, no matter what. Is it easy? Not
No
always.
ways.
Possible?
Yes.
Worth it?
Definitely.
Wise words of Mr. Craig Harper that I found on the desk.
I think
Just-
they
What
are,
are they actually relating to?
I think that is actually like 6-year-old draft from one of my books. Scrap paper. I have scrap
So-
paper all over the house.
How you can live a life of alignment.
Trying to live in alignment. You know how you live a life of alignment? You
Is
get
that the
clear-
same as balance?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
not exactly, but it's partly. So when we talk about living in alignment, we talk about getting clear about what matters to us or our core values, so what matters most. And then I say to people, if you're living in alignment, your behaviours, choices and reality will be a reflection of those things. So, for example, somebody said, one of my core values is health and wellness, but they're eating shit and smoking dope and getting drunk 4 nights a week, probably not living in alignment. Or somebody who says, you know, fidelity and honesty and loyalty, and they're banging their neighbour as well as their wife and their secretary, probably living out of alignment. Just saying.com.
And do you see that all the time?
All the time. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because people want, you know, I mean, it's a bit bullshitty, but people want. We talk about, you know, being in alignment as a company, an organisation, a team, or an individual, and we talk about authenticity. So you would just want to make sure that there's synergy between what you're saying and what you're doing. That's probably the simplest way.
Sounds good in theory, but how scared are people to actually stick their flag to the mast on a set of values that they believe in, do you reckon?
Well, I think they see a brand out there that they want to appear to be like. And so then they try and go backwards and make everything aligned to what that image is. So if you look on Instagram, and everyone's Instagram account is basically full of pictures, which is their highlight reel. It's not what they really are like. So
interesting.
do you agree?
Totally.
Yeah. So I think people find it really hard to actually live it and breathe it to the real, like, authentic self. And that's what we work hard at.
But people don't even. I think people don't. We're getting very deep very quickly.
I know.
But I think a lot of
Loving
people.
it.
I think a lot of people don't even know who they are. I think they confuse their body, their appearance, their achievements, their brand, their fucking stuff, with who they are. Not what they have or what they own or what they earn or what they look like.
Yeah.
That's that. So when we take away all that shit, which isn't you, what's left? And people go, fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that we live in a collective mindset that teaches us that we are things, that success is not who you are, it's what you have, own, earn, do, look like.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And then so when you find your sense of self and self-worth and self-esteem in things, you're always going to be insecure because that can go.
Yeah.
And that sounds ironic coming from a man has been an obsessive compulsive bodybuilder, etc., over the years, but it's true. Like, you get to the point where you go, well, okay, I'm 4% body fat and I'm enormous. Now what? Because
Yeah.
I'm still an insecure dickhead.
So it's interesting because we just suffered a little phone outage here. Good friends at Telstra once again need to get the conch out and we'll make it work.
Painful.
But there are some people, I'd imagine, who the thought of not being able to be reached or communicated with, or not be able to just hit the phone and post something on their favourite social media account would panic at the idea that they've disappeared because they're not visible to other people. So they're left in their own minds ostensibly alone.
I agree. I think like when we used to travel with a team and you go overseas and you're not in the same time zone anymore, you do see this anxiousness on all the girls' faces because all of a sudden they can't communicate with people and they're not getting all that feedback from people that they're used to getting on social media about how they played and we've had to bring in social media bans with the team because the girls are constantly on it trying to get more information and put more information out there. So we're like, you're not allowed to tweet or post on game day. You can do whatever you like after the game, but you can't do it before the game, just to try and break people's obsession with it.
So what's our need to do that, Craig? What do you reckon that is? That people need constant recognition, or that they feel that unless they project themselves...
So all of those emotions, overthinking, insecurity, self-doubt, it's all about fear. All of that stuff comes
What are we
from-
afraid of?
Well, we're afraid of isolation. We're afraid of not belonging. We're afraid of not being wanted, needed, loved. So all of the things that we see manifest as insecurity, you backtrack. It's always fear of something. So, you know, and that's it's a really interesting conversation because people say, oh, I love my own space. And not really. I mean, if it's a Saturday afternoon, cool. But put people in isolation for any real length of time, that most people really hate it.
Yeah.
And that's why we find people who, do I want to open this door? But people who get out of a relationship Monday and Tuesday, they're like, fuck, I've got to find someone.
Yeah.
Because they actually don't know how to function in isolation. And so they feel incomplete.
Yeah.
So...
And they don't know how to control the thoughts that are in their head, do they? Like you have all these voices in your head telling you to do something, or you should be doing something, or you should be up here, or you should be there. And you don't know how to filter them through to just go with what's the right thing for you rather than what's the right thing for other people.
Well, the self-awareness to recognise a certain type of behaviour you might be engaging in, and then trying to understand why you are doing that and what it says about where you are emotionally. So whether it's you're eating, binge eating, and then realising is it sort of self-awareness, I guess, that reflects an anxiety that is tethered to maybe a previous relationship or something further back in your life, or an anxiety. Yep. That sort of cognitive behavioural therapy that people have to do on their own, don't they?
Yeah.
It's not something you can necessarily always go and see someone about.
Well, I
trying
think
to work that out for yourself, what your behaviour is relative to who you are.
And I think that's one of the hardest things in terms of, this personal development kind of thing where we go, not I want to make $1 million, but I want to be less anxious, or I want to be more authentic, or I don't want to be the overthinking maniac or the obsessive compulsive exerciser or whatever it is. But it's getting real and getting honest with yourself is hard, because you've got to, and even in addiction, we talk about this a lot, where it's about humility, it's about acknowledgement, it's about going, okay, so I'm flawed. Not self-loathing, like I'm a fucking idiot, but self-awareness. So, yep, I talk too much when I'm nervous, or yep, I tell lies, and I'm full of shit, and I'm a bit selfish.
Yeah.
How often do you find people have those sorts of opinions?
Not very often, but you know what I find when I did a big workshop last week up the road here, and we had 220 people, 220 seat lecture theatre, and people, when I tell people that I've still got issues, I'm still working through things, even though I'm a bit funny and a bit knowledgeable and a bit articulate, but then in the middle of that, I can still be a total dickhead, still make bad decisions, still be a selfish fuck, all of that. People like it because they go, oh, okay. And I don't do it for show. It's just real. Yeah. It's real. And when people kind of go, oh, all right then, this is not just some kind of rehearsed monologue about how to make an awesome life, because the truth is that all of us on some level are fearful of something. If you're not, you're a sociopath. Or emotionally disconnected, and all of us on some level are dysfunctional in some way about something. It might be food, it might be love, it might be commitment, it might be money, it might be I've bought 50 fucking pairs of shoes that I don't need. Like that's irrational. Like we all do irrational stuff.
And people strive for perfection, which you can't ever get there. I've never met a perfect person. I don't know why people try and get there. Do you think that? I always hear people who are just trying to be perfect.
You would see that
everything.
A lot in as an elite athlete. Yeah. You would see a lot of that.
And they talk about it like they are up here, and that people who are trying to play our sport for the first time, or want to be a netballer, they think that they've got to get all the way up here and make no mistakes, otherwise you're never going to make it. And I think we create this really bad image for young girls about how you're ever going to get to the elite level. You're never perfect. You're always going to make mistakes, and you're always going to have to be still working on things and learning as you go. It doesn't matter how old you are.
And the irony is, I think, that sometimes the people that we in our community in general look up to, like you in your heyday, where, playing netball for Australia, representing the country, there's 12 girls out of the whole country of 25 million. You're one of the 12, blah, 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 tall, pretty, all that stuff.
Oh,
and you're surrounded by, well, you were, and you're surrounded by, you let yourself go a bit, and you're surrounded by You're right though. For 40, you're surrounded by other girls who are.
Oh my goodness! Just throw this water over you.
No, but like you're in this environment with all these high achieving, attractive, athletic girls, and the same with when you're at the Vixens, and my little involvement, and all great girls, but me still very acutely aware that just a million issues.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh yeah, they're all high performers, high achievers, attractive, popular, signing autographs, and no one's got their shit together.
No.
Like here's 12 pretty dysfunctional, talented, clever, attractive, but pretty dysfunctional units.
Yeah.
You know, all running around the netball court, because I think that's everyone. I think people go, oh, Francis Leach done this, that, got no issues.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, it just
of
doesn't-
course.
just-
Talk to my wife about my issues. I'm a hoarder.
A hoarder.
What do you hoard?
Oh, records and CDs.
Oh,
and
I can imagine
not
that.
quite a hoarder, but yeah, I've got that tendency. I can't let stuff go. Like I know it, and I'm conscious of it, and I work really hard at it. But you know, if you look at the stuff that's in my library, I just got to get better at chucking.
If she's
stuff
trying to
out.
clean out the house, and
Yeah,
you're like,
and
no.
it's like, no, I need that Depeche Mode B-side from 1982 that I bought at Brash's when Craig Harper sold it. So I need it. I haven't
When
pl-
I'm with you, baby, I
haven't-
go
I
out of
haven't
my
played
head.
it in 30 years, but I don't want to let it go. So, you know, it's sort of like, I know that I've got an issue with that.
And what was that band? I know the name. That band that I sent you a message on that had a one-hit wonder in 1982.
Oh, remind me what the question was again.
There was.
It was Quarter Flash.
Quarter
Heart
Flash.
in my heart.
That's right.
Canadian
Tuning
rock
out of
band.
this conversation. I've got no idea.
You weren't born then, were
No,
you?
I was born. I'm an 82 baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa's our panel op, for want of a better term. Our producer is 1988. I've got shoes older than her. That's annoying.
But that's my thing, and I'm aware of that. I know that I've got an issue, and
But what's wrong with that though? Like that's not a bad thing.
It isn't a bad thing necessarily, but it does. I am imposing that on other people because I'm cluttering the house, and you know, like it's stuff that lies around. It's like, you know, carrying around your memories. You know,
Yeah.
You could have a much
warehouse.
worse
Yeah,
problem
I'm
though.
thinking
If that's the
if
worst
that's-
you've
yeah,
got,
if that's
you're
as
doing
bad
quite
as you
well.
get,
just starting.
if
Maybe
that's the
we'll get your
worst of
wife
you,
on.
I want
Get on, yeah,
I want to
she'll tell
date you.
you.
If that's the worst, what if you could change instantly one thing about you?
Mm-hmm.
Anything, physically, emotionally, mentally, the way you process.
That's a
data,
great
the
question.
way
Let's
you
go around the
interact.
table with this
Yeah.
one.
One thing that you could change about you, your reality, or you in your reality, what would it be?
Probably stop comparing myself to others.
Give me an example of when you do that.
So, like when I was a player, I would always compare myself to another player. I would want to have a body like them, be as fit as them, be able to play like they did. Outside in the business world, you see people who, you know, you think from the outside of these gun operators that have no of the little small issues. So I want to be like them.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly always just keep telling myself, like every time I have a thought where it's comparing myself or getting, you know, those negative or positive feelings about somebody else, that
Yeah.
I've got to bring it back to be like, just, you can't control that, let it go. You can't control that, let it go. And it's always what I'm saying to myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big one for like mindfulness and going for a walk and just bringing my thoughts back to what I'm actually doing at the time and not thinking too far ahead or thinking too far behind. And I've only probably in the last 2 years really learnt how to control my thoughts like that. But I always need to keep working on it.
For me, I think at the moment, I think it changes over time, but for me at the moment, it's learning to laugh and have fun with my daughter, because I find myself getting way too serious with her a lot of the time. She said to me the other day, you know, Dad, you're always uptight or you're always angry. And I thought, well, hell, probably am. Like, you know, I just don't know why. Sort of like get into that mindset with her at times. Or you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Have you done this? Have you done that? I feel like
How old is she?
She's 14. She's turning 14 soon.
Yeah.
So I'm very conscious that I don't, you know, I'm not angry, but I'm
You can be intense because
Yes.
you're a thinker. You think the fuck out of everything.
too much maybe, and I just need to, you know, I need to draw boundaries for her and make sure that she knows what's required. But I need to make sure that I remember what I was remembering that when she was younger, is to have fun when I can with her, because it's not going to be there forever. She's
Yeah.
going to grow up and move on. So that's my thing at the moment, is really just trying to make sure that I can have those moments and not just be too damn hard ass.
Yeah, and be in the moment with her, like,
Yes.
and
Not
not thinking
worrying
about what
about-
she
And-
might be like in the
yeah,
future if you don't
and-
teach her a lesson now. And
That's right. And walk away from your window through which you view everything and have a look through her window and go, Like I always, when I talk about self-awareness and communication and relationships, and I say, what do you think it's like being around you? People go, oh.
Exactly. So I sometimes now
like,
think
what's
of
it like? That's a
Yeah.
really good, like,
Yeah.
and if you're really honest, you go, fuck, I wouldn't want to be around me. Sometimes I'm a dick or I'm intense or I'm...
when she says that to me, you're absolutely right. I go, God, I'm shit. Why do I want to be around like this? I mean, there are times when you need to be, but I do think, God, you're a boring old bastard.
Don't you love how we're giving you advice yet we're not parents and we're like, do this with your daughter?
But I think it's just relationships in general. It could be.
Yeah, but we were kids once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but still.
And I've got to remember that too. I'm pretty good at that in a while. You know, there's a great example of that. This is what I am proud of. There's kids next door to me. These young blokes, and it's funny watching. He's an older brother, little brother, and they're living in a flat, and it adjoins our house. And they come out in the afternoon, and they play soccer. Yeah. And what they love to do, which is unfortunate for me because often I'm having a nap, is welly the ball into the roller door. Right. It makes a god awful fucking noise. Like it goes whack, it's constant. And it wakes me up, and I just want to go, oh, for fuck's sake, boys, can you not? And then I remember, I'm at least self-aware enough to remember, I was that little kid.
Yeah.
I was that little kid in the driveway, and I love this game so much. I'm not going to go down and yell at the boys. And the ball comes over the fence, I just throw it back over. And I've always promised myself I wouldn't be one of those guys that says, you don't get your ball back. Yeah. So, I've got a little bit of self-awareness, but I love that they play. But the big brother, he's a badass on he makes his little brother stand in front of the goal. He just pots him ball around all the time, and occasionally while he's at his head.
That's what big brothers do.
That's going to change. I want to be there the day that the little brother finally whacks him one back.
My sister and I've got an older sister and a younger sister, but my older sister was always really physical. Like we'd get into physical fights all the time, and I loved the day that I got bigger.
Wrestling, punching.
Yeah, like wrestling, and she would punch me. And
did you get it back?
Oh, I just loved it. Yeah, well, as soon as I got, and we were competitive in netball too. We were both playing, and so the moment that I kind of took over her, it was one of the best days of my career because I was like, yes, now it's my turn to get you back.
No turning back.
For all those times.
I reckon you've done really well transitioning from athlete to regular human in that.
Yeah.
Well,
hang on. Before we go on to that, you never told us what your...
You just quickly sort of
you
dodged under that one.
Because I'm hosting here. It's on to you two.
Yeah. I'm not hosting. I think I have a much, much better, but I don't like hurting people's feelings. Well, no one does that, but there are times when... So sometimes having hard conversations, although I'm much better... And I also want everyone to like me, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Because I know they won't. And I'm much better with that. But that where, and we've spoken about this before. If I write wherever it is on my blog or Facebook or something, like I get thousands of responses.
Millions.
A fuckload. And if 100 people are going, yeah, that's great. And one goes, you're a dickhead. The only one that affects me is...
Seriously? That get to you? You should work in my world with the Essendon fans that write to me regularly. I know. I mean, it doesn't how it used to. And in fact, working on commercial radio in my very minor role has... That'll give you a hard shell.
Oh, yeah.
Reading the SMSs people send in.
Well...
Quite rude.
Now, I was just going to say to you...
Yep.
Of all the athletes that I know, you are one of the, I would say, 5% who's transitioned so far... really seamlessly in that you're busy, you're focused, you're happy, you're productive, you got stuff you're doing. There hasn't been some big emotional trough that you've fallen into for a year or 10. And if anything, you've gone from a very successful athlete at the pointy end of your sport globally, not just nationally, but you seem really good. Is that a good assessment or not?
Oh, no, I think that is a good assessment.
Or is there something we don't know?
But I'm also conscious that I'm not probably through it all yet either. Like I've not sat a whole season out yet. I've got that to come.
How long since you played your last game?
Probably about 8 months ago.
Right.
And I don't want to play because my body's still kind of sore, so I can't really do what I want yet either. But yeah, I think the best thing that I ever did was the people that I surround myself with, because when I am having a bad day or when I am doubting about what I'm doing in the future, they all kind of pull me back into the right path, where I don't think a lot of athletes understand how important that is the people that you have around you. And I think I've just learnt that over the years when I've had hard times in netball. It's been more about the people I've had around me that have pulled me back to a good place rather than what I've been able to do myself.
Do you ever see people, either of you, where, and it might be in the media or in sport, where you go, if this person ever gets the arse, they're fucked.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
like there's someone that you and I know that springs to mind, but you know, with athletes where you go, without being rude, like that's all they do, that's all they have. Their entire sense of everything is about that, and you're like,
it's a Faustian pack for people like that. And what I mean by that is that in order to achieve the things that they're expected to achieve as a highly paid professional, whether it's a sports person or a media person, or even if you want to be a doctor or a specialist, and the amount of time that you pour into it to actually achieve the skill set and get to where you are, you sacrifice all those other elements in your life in order to do that. So once you've gotten to the pinnacle, there's a long way back down to base camp. And how do you climb down? And it's some organisations, I think, are better now in giving people a pathway to do that. But I think traditionally you were just expected to find your own way. And if you invest all of that into trying to achieve that one singular goal, it's a lack of balance, isn't it? And that's a scary thing. I think all of us at some stage probably go through a point in our lives where we do that.
yeah.
The question is, do you allow yourself to simply be entirely invested in what you do, becoming who you are?
And what I found the hardest, and I still get it all the time, is everyone's like, what are you doing now with your life? It's like
it just stopped.
Yeah, it's like I've actually died and I'm no longer a netballer anymore, so I must be completely struggling. It's everybody's perceptions. And I just get so annoyed at everyone asking me that all the time.
Did you say pretty much beanbag, Cheetos, Oprah?
All of that. P.S. Why do I have my
hair,
headphones on?
rollers. Why do you have your
I
headphones
don't know.
on?
That's so much better. Thanks for the heads up, boys. Just
I
out
was
of
going to
habit.
tell you, but you were halfway through a
You
conversation.
look so comfortable with them on.
You did.
Getting
Look
into the role.
Pure radio chick.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a professional.
So, in terms of you, have you played alongside athletes that you think, I worry about what's going to happen the day that you get the chop, or that you do your knee and that's it for you? Like, I don't know what you're going to do, because I don't think you ever think about anything beyond this.
And I, play a role with our Players Association, so you hear a bit of the behind the scenes about what's going on with players. But I could tell you probably, a few players right now who are currently playing, and I am really worried about them, because compared to other sports, netball doesn't yet have enough resources around the girls to start educating them now about what they need to do in the future. We're starting, and we've got some things in place, but we've got a long way to go.
So I wanted to have a quick chat today about something vaguely related, because it's in the exercise space. So I've been having a few conversations lately with people about exercise addiction, right?
Yeah.
Or I think they call it athletica nervosa or something like that. There's a bunch of different names, and it's not really super well understood. But have you worked alongside or trained with people who they like the way that they approach training, and the way they manage their body, not just with training but food, I guess, as well? It's irrational, like it's unhealthy, not healthy.
Yeah, definitely. And I reckon I've gone through that at times too, where you get this anxiety if you don't do something.
Have.
And that's probably another thing that you're constantly working out, because now that you don't have to do it, you think, oh, well, I've got time, I should be going to the gym because I can.
Yeah. And
it's a hard thing to probably see rationally, I think.
There's part of you going, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
But then you go, oh, I do though.
To the point where I've driven to the gym and I'll be like, no, just do it. And I'm there and I'm like, I don't feel well, or I don't want to do it. And I force myself to go home, which I would never have done. I would have pushed myself through it. And I'm like, no, be kinder to yourself now. You don't have to do that all the time.
Someone said to me the other day, my son's gone from an addiction, but now he's obsessed with the gym. So he's now an exercise junkie, but that's good because it's a good addiction.
Yeah. And it's like,
kind of had to go,
I'm not sure it is.
Maybe better than ice, but it's still not healthy.
Yeah.
That whole thing where, if there's anxiety around it, if there's lying, if there's deceptive, people who are full on exercise addicts, everything, their emotion, their life, their work, their friendships, their socializing, everything revolves around that.
It's called Iron Man.
What?
The Iron Man. That's what that is. It's a cult.
Oh, really?
The cult of Iron Man.
I don't know that.
The Iron Man event. I think
Right.
that
Yeah.
attracts that sort of personality. The people.
Yeah.
And I'm in awe of these people because their ability to compete at that level.
There's a really fine line, isn't there, between being super good, functional, and super weird, dysfunctional.
Disappearing into your obsession.
Yeah.
And see, that's where this whole Instagram world comes into it too, where there's so many girls out there who, if they post pictures of them in a crop top with their abs showing, then they get more likes than if they put one up where they're fully clothed and you can't see their abs. And that Arnie thing on the weekend.
Yeah.
Are you mates with Arnie? Did you go catch up with him?
Well, I'm actually, I know Tony Doherty quite well, who is his business partner. Tony's killing it, and he's just got the rights to the Arnold Classic in Asia. And Big Josh, whom I coach, competed, the big whopping unit. But yeah, you're right. There's it's an interesting crowd. It's an interesting demographic, and I say this out loud and publicly. I say, some bodybuilders, body shapers, figures competitors, the most neurotic, insecure, overthinking, unhealthy, unhinged people.
What does size do for their sense of self? Why do people feel that being bigger somehow improves who they feel they are?
Well, I think that's just their thing, and they get. For myself, I remember when I was in my early 20s, all I wanted to do was be massive and lean because, and you don't really overthink it. You just feel, I don't know, more manly or more something.
And you can probably keep measuring it too. Like you can keep making improvements. It doesn't ever stop, and that's why they get to this enormous size.
Which is not to say everyone who's in that space is weird and unhinged. There are some great people in it too, but most people in that space would freely acknowledge there's a lot of very unhealthy, insecure, overthinking. There's a point where, like we've said, training, exercise, all that, it just goes into a completely unhealthy space. And the thing is, when it's you, this is the big challenge, like with the girls on Instagram, refresh, right? The problem is it's you, so you can't be objective.
Yeah.
So you're emotional about your appearance. You're emotional about what people think of you. So I always say, involve someone else in the project or the process. If it's about your training or your body or nutrition, create an intelligent plan with somebody who has the knowledge and skills and then do the plan.
Because I was looking at a girl, I don't know her, but on Instagram, she, was at Arnie's challenge and she was putting up all these photos. And then the next day she put up a bowl of fruit salad and said, "Oh, finally I can have my cheat meal." And I'm like, are you joking? Like, what are you eating if a bowl of fruit salad is your cheat meal? Like, her reality is completely distorted from everybody else's.
Sugar in that, Francis.
The war on sugar, Craig.
How sad.
The war on sugar.
How do you cope with that?
How are you going with that?
Well,
where do you stand on that?
Are you
where
sugar-free?
do I stand on this? No, I'm not sugar-free.
Are you sugar full?
No, I'm not that either. But suddenly, sugar is the new nicotine. It's become the thing, hasn't it? And I know people are, rightfully so, probably trying to shoot for a sugar-free diet. But you know what? I like cake. I like cake and I like chocolate. I'm learning how to modify my use of said cake and chocolate. But I don't want to be sitting there at dinner on my birthday in a couple of days' time when I go to that fancy French restaurant I've been looking forward to and feeling bad about it because my friends are having a war on sugar and they're going to be tut-tutting that I'm eating, like a fantastic creme brulee. Why do we have to be all or nothing? Whatever happened to moderation? Whatever happened to self-control? I'll have a little bit of it. I will enjoy what it offers to us without demonising it and turning sugar into the new pariah.
Because we all have these obsessive behaviours that we can't be
all you
all
sugar
or
addicts say that, by the way.
Craig, do you have sugar ever? Seriously?
Had some in the 90s.
Yeah, see, I reckon he would have one.
No. You're right. The problem is, he takes his glasses off.
Yeah, it's because we're getting serious.
No, you're right. The problem is that most people don't do it in moderation. I completely agree with you. I say to people, have a Tim Tam, have 3 Tim Tams, don't have 23. And have a bit. I completely have a bit of cake, have a pizza, have a cheat meal, whatever you want to call it, right? The problem for a lot of people, and I don't want to get in trouble here, but my experience seems to be more women than men, is they'll eat really well, 3, 4, 5 weeks, have a couple of Tim Tams and go, I've fucked it now, and then I'm going to eat everything that's not nailed down. So it's not about
sugar that makes people fat. It's people eating sugar that makes people fat.
It's decisions. It's decisions.
The gun lobby.
Like, it's like people get mad at McDonald's. I don't go to McDonald's. I don't eat it. I don't want it, right? That's cool. So don't fucking go. Like you got to drive there. You got to order it. You got to hand over the money, and then you got to put it in your fucking mouth. So don't do any of that. And McDonald's is not an issue for you. Like, when did we get to the point where when we do dumb shit to ourselves that it's not our fault?
Well, I think I can understand there are some wider socio-economic arguments around that one, for instance. And I do get it. So if you're living in a socio-economic area, low wages, you're travelling long distances to work, food is cheap. In the United States, it's extraordinary. So I drove through the south of the US this year, and cheap food, the cheapest food you can buy is fast food. So I can understand that there are some structural issues that encourage people to choose that as an option because it's easier. Fresh food is more difficult. You're time poor. These things actually converge together and make it convenient. But in the end... Is
there a however coming?
Exactly. In the end, you still have to make choices, and I think increasingly we are outsourcing the responsibility for making those choices by targeting things like sugar's bad for you, so therefore we need to ban all sugar. So we have the choice taken off the table. It is dealt for us because if we take the sugar away, we can be trusted not to eat it because otherwise we can't.
Completely agree.
Can we all just grow up a little bit?
100% agree.
Craig, will you have an Easter egg this weekend?
I don't like them, but I would.
Really?
No, I don't like chocolate much.
I'll have his.
No. Yeah, I'll have yours too.
No. But if you said, well, you have a couple of fried demos, get out of the way.
Oh, is that your
And cheesecake, I've always heard that.
Yeah, cheesecake. I can't open the cheesecake door because it's like cocaine for me. But
oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to bring one next week. Just pop it right here.
This is interesting. So if you've got a kryptonite, a dietary kryptonite,
cheesecake,
baked
cheesecake.
When was the last time you had a baked cheesecake?
Okay, so when I used to have I'll tell you a story, and this is the beginning of the end. So I used to have a very active blog back in the day, Bianca, when people had blogs, just after the wheel was invented, kids. It's called the blog, the web log. And I had about tens of thousands of whatever, and I did a gig in, and I often wrote, not often, but a few times about my penchant for cheesecake, but, you know, how it was my nutritional kryptonite. I did a gig in Adelaide. 7 people bought me cheesecakes.
Oh, wow.
So I had 7 cheesecakes, and I'm staying in a hotel. So I gave all of them away except one, which I thought I'm just going to leave in my hotel. And
but why didn't you give it all away?
Oh, because subconsciously I knew exactly. So I didn't. So it was, I don't know, maybe 12 inches, maybe. And I reckon I ate. So I'd say that bad boy was fucking 4,000 calories.
Awesome.
I had all of it except a quarter. So I had 3 quarters. I smashed it. And then I just sat there like a fat fuck going, I'm a moron. I'm an educated moron.
Did you enjoy it?
I was just a fat little 14-year-old came out and went, fuck, no one's here. You're in another state. Get that shit down.
And how'd you feel afterwards?
I felt horrible.
Guilty?
Horrible. That was it. So
you couldn't just have a wee bit of it.
Well, that's the issue. I told you. Kryptonite. You're not listening.
What about for you, Bianca?
Chocolate. For sure.
Yeah.
To the point where one of my housemates, she was another chocolate fan. Back in the day, Tash Chocolate is her name. And we lived together and we used to eat.
Tash recently.
Did you? We used to eat a lot of chocolate. To the point where when we come back from a away trip, we would buy like a Toblerone from the airport. And I loved the white Toblerone.
Oh, yeah.
And we would get it, have it in the house, but I'd have to throw it out. Like I couldn't have it in the house. She could just pick it at bits and pieces, whereas I would just have to throw it in the bin. Otherwise, I had no willpower.
I know that urge, but I'm much better now, and I'm like you. But I can say no. I
can't have any unhealthy food in my house.
I know I'm going to be eating chocolate on Thursday night. I'm looking forward to it. But
But the difference between you and a lot of people is you won't have it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
No.
Like that's the issue. It's like beer's not bad, but 50 beers a weekend is bad.
Yeah.
You know, pizza's not bad, but pizza all the time. And this is the thing. So,
but that's choice. It's not. That's what I'm saying.
No, exactly. But it's like for some people, like once they open that door, it creates. You know, the thing is that food is addictive. It creates a dopamine response, like cocaine or like sex. So if you have cocaine, pizza, and an orgasm all at once, you may explode.
One of the girls...
2 out of 3 ain't bad, somewhere along the line.
One of the girls in our team was so addicted to chocolate.
I had an orgasm in the 80s. It was
Thought you were
dark. I
gonna
was
tell us
alone.
recently. I was like, we don't need to know that.
Hey. Excuse me.
I don't believe that's what the podcast is about.
It is now.
What? You think we have a theme?
We got nothing, remember?
Well, I'll just go out of there if you boys are going to start talking about that. One of our girls used to be that obsessed with chocolate, she'd throw it out, but she'd have to spray it with fly spray so she wouldn't get it out of the bin and eat it again.
That's a good tactic.
So she used to throw it out and then she'd want to go back, so she'd have to spray it.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, isn't it? I thought that was quite hilarious.
I've never heard
Well, that's commitment.
You had to exfoliate, you had to contaminate the chocolate.
Absolutely. So
Radioactive.
you definitely wouldn't do it.
I was relaying this story to someone the other day when I was a fat little kid and I ate everything that wasn't nailed down. And like the things that I did then, I look back now. Remember, did I tell on air about me lighting my mum's cigarettes?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
We love that one.
So the other thing that I did was...
It's like a scene from
And
Breaking Bad or something.
It's not like my mum ever went, oh, hang on, bless her. So she used to make chocolate cakes, which were just phenomenal. She probably still does.
Mary?
Yes. And I would lick the bowl and lick the beaters and lick the spatula. And, I mean, she didn't like...
She turned it off.
I'm talking about easy 600-700 calories worth of leftover, just sugar and chocolate and...
Everyone used to do that as a kid.
Oh, how good was that?
It was
You would feel a little bit queasy after that when you used to like.
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I didn't back then. I was very conditioned.
But I didn't care about the cake. I just
For
wanted the
chocolate.
mixture.
You what?
I don't care about the cake. I just wanted the mixture. Like, that was way better.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Raw cake is way better than...
Yeah.
Don't talk about sugar. If you the most concentrated sugar rush that you could get surely was the chocolate crackle. Like if you ate one of those
Well,
things,
it's right up there.
And
Fairy
with that-
floss
with that-
gives it a good nudge.
that's so far.
Just sugar.
Fairy floss is... But the story with sugar these days is that... So they say that sugar causes an inflammatory response on a cellular level. And there's a big relationship between cellular inflammation and disease. But, you having a bit of cake on Thursday night, no problems.
Creme brulee, lock it in.
Really?
Lock it in, Craig.
That's your
Is
favourite?
that your birthday?
Yeah,
What Thursday?
yeah.
How old are you?
48.
Really?
I know.
You look older. And so... No, you don't, mate.
He's got
Yeah,
to
you
walk
do.
away with
No,
the
you don't. It's all right,
what?
Craig. You look 65.
Are you
you're
excited
fucking-
about turning 50?
No, I hate
In a
the idea.
couple of
Look,
years?
I'm resigned to it. I don't care anymore. Talk to me in 2 years' time about it.
Okay.
But you don't look older, and you are very fit for your age too. Your biological age would be... You don't smoke at all. Have you ever smoked?
No.
I
I grew up in a house where my mum and dad both smoked, and I resented it from the day I was... I
Alcohol?
can
How
remember.
much?
A lot less than I used to. So
One day a week?
Well, no, yeah. So on the weekend, I had 2 beers on Saturday night. That was it.
You alcohol?
Maybe like once a month?
What's your one vice? Is it chocolate?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Mine is
sure.
craft beer. I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I like good brewing and a good craft beer, but an IPA. But I've learnt not to, the days of going out and drinking 30 of them, well and truly finished.
What's Bianca Chatfield going to be doing in 5 years? What's 37-year-old Bianca Chatfield going to be doing?
37-year-old.
Like, do you think about that? When people talk
No.
about, what's your 5-year plan, Brian? Fuck, I don't know.
No.
I don't know what I'm doing Wednesday.
Exactly.
So
I
you don't think
know.
like that? What about, do you... So for 2016, do you go, right, I've got to tick these boxes, or you just freestyle?
No,
I don't think you freestyle, because you're a bit
No,
type
I
A.
am planned, but I don't like to be. I think I've come from in such a structured environment. I don't want to be like that anymore. So
Yeah.
even though I've got lots of things on the go, I just want to be able to keep having the flexibility, like we were talking about
sure.
before, having the flexibility to do whatever opportunities come my way and say yes to things, try new things. So I don't want to kind of put in place what I want to really do in 5 years' time. I just think it will evolve.
Isn't it funny when you grow up in a certain environment, whether or not that's growing up at home or growing up at school or growing up in the career that you're in, like you see yourself as, like, when I came out of school, I just started working in gyms, didn't go to university till later, and I was pretty much a fitness bloke. Fitness bloke, writes programs, trains people, works with a couple of teams, and then you consciously or not, intentionally or not, go, oh, that's what I am. I'm a fitness person. You don't go, I'm a science person or I'm a creative person. And then when I wrote my first book, I kind of had this feeling of unworthiness or fraudulence. Like, who am I to write a book? I'm just a fucking gym instructor.
Yeah.
And then you write it and you rewrite it, fuck around with it, and eventually it gets published and people go, oh, it's all right. And then you go, oh. And then you write your second book, you feel less fraudulent. And then one day you go, I'm an author. Or you go, like when I started radio, I'm just a guy who's been on the radio. Then eventually you go, oh, I'm not Francis Leach, but I'm a radio person. There's that whole where you kind of define yourself or feel defined or pigeonholed because of what you've done. And then all of a sudden, like I now realise that I'm far more creative than anything else. Like I'm not a science person. Like I understand science, but it doesn't float my boat.
Yep.
Like I'd much rather create stuff and dream up stuff and write stories and connect with people and communicate than go and research cellular physiology.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I love doing like entrepreneurial things, but I struggle to say I'm an entrepreneur. Because I feel like that's fraudulent in a way.
But I think you are.
Exactly. And I know that that's exactly what I'm doing with all the things I'm creating, but I find that really hard to say that I'm like that. Or
is that because you feel you need to have a certain set of credentials to do that?
Good question.
I don't know. It's just in my head.
It's like people say that to me because I talk a lot about mindset, behavioural psychology, blah, 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 but I'm not a psychologist. And I thought about that for a long time. Should I be having these conversations or should I just talk about carbs and hamstrings?
Yeah.
And you go, well, like I've spent 30 years talking to people about their stuff, their thinking, attitudes, beliefs, values, behaviours, habits. Surely I've got something to offer.
But everything is stuff that you have learnt or that you've experienced.
Yes.
Whether it be through somebody else or whatever. So the thing that we've always got to remember is you can't ever challenge somebody's experiences. You can't ever prove it, but you can't challenge it either because you've learnt it along the way.
Exactly. If you go, this is what I've learned. Yeah. I'm not saying here's a blanket sweeping statement about human potential or something.
Because you've not just made it up.
I think that's one of the interesting things is that like working with people as a bit of a coach, people come in and like their potential is not the issue. It's what they think of themselves is the issue. They don't know. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not the athletic one. That's my sister, or the creative one's my dad. Or you go, well, have you ever tried to run a marathon, or have you ever tried to paint or write a story? Or, well, no, because I'm not like that.
So they're tethered in their mind before they start.
Well, I think a lot of people don't really explore their passion because environmentally or situationally, they, like for me, when I finished school in 1981 in Traralgon, about 3% of people went to university. So it wasn't which uni you're going to. It's like, will you work at the APM or the SEC? Will you be a boiler maker, pipe fitter, electrician, carpenter? Or
same in Broadmeadows.
What will you do?
At my initial high school, I only went to year 10 because there was presumption that that's where you ended. There was no library in Broadmeadows. I had to go to catch the train to Glenroy to get to the library. And I realised later the reason why there wasn't a library was because we weren't expected to need one. So your environment can shape your vision of who you are.
And the people in your world too, where if your old man goes, well, don't do that, that's stupid. You go, oh, is it? Well, he must know because he's my dad. And dads know. And then one day you wake up and go, yeah, maybe he was wrong.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges in terms of fulfilling potential or exploring even happiness without getting too philosophical is trying to figure out, like, how many people do you think generally do something that doesn't stimulate them, excite them as a career?
You know what? I'm shocked that the percentage will be so high because I've been lucky enough, and I think we all have, to do pretty much exactly what I set out to do in terms of what I wanted to do. Yeah.
But it's been about taking risks along the way, hasn't it?
And working hard, and taking a few knocks and, learning to hear the word no a lot and just, keep persisting, particularly early on. And you still have those moments where things don't work out. But, I've turned my passions into a job. I've blagged my way through in a way so that I've never felt like I've had a job in the way that you would describe it. It's like I'm getting up in the morning, even if it is at 4 a.m. and going, oh, it's Tuesday. I've still got to get through till Friday before I can start living again. It's never been that way for me.
I couldn't think of anything worse than having a 9-to-5 job where you just go to work, you're doing the same thing every day. It's just not for me. I
just on the other side of that, I think there are some people who legitimately do that sort of work but find their fulfillment elsewhere. So the work doesn't define them. They might be coaching their local the kids' footy team, or they're got a passion somewhere else that they live outside of work.
I've got a friend who has a government role, and I would rather punch myself in the face. But she loves it because it's quite well paid, it's great conditions, great super, blah, 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 and it ticks lots of boxes for what she wants.
Yep.
What would your advice be, either of you, to people who go, you know what, I don't, what I do is it pays the bills, but I don't love it. I'm not fulfilled, but I don't know what I want to do. How do people find out?
Ooh, that's a
Like,
good one.
you're 30, you're 35, you're 40, whatever. Like, do you go, oh, fuck it? Well, or do you go, how do I find my passion, or how do I find the thing that I get excited when I get up?
That's so hard to answer because it was always,
So
and I've always been sort of envious of people, a bit like me. I don't mean in the sense of job, but I always knew what I wanted to do.
Right.
From a very young age, when I first played music on the radio, I kind of knew, and it was never a question. I guess you talking about a sense of vocation. It was that bit was easy. Achieving, whatever you achieve is the challenge. But there's never any doubt in my mind. And I came to, once again, a sort of realization again a couple of years ago that I'm a radio guy. I like it, and I shouldn't be, because I went through a phase where I was like, oh shit, it's all I've ever done. I need to do something else. And I went, you know what? It's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm at peace with that now. It's what I want to do. So I don't know how. I would find it very challenging if I was still wondering what that was. But there's got to be a way to find it. I can't advise because it was always apparent to me what it was. And I wish everyone all the best in trying to find what that is.
And for me, I never knew, and I still don't really know what 100% I want to do.
Is it exciting though?
But that excites me. And also,
rather than the big difference, I think, B, is it excites you. For a lot of people, the response will be
it's scary. Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah. And but I think every year I've evolved into something different because I've had a go at different things.
Yeah.
And so that would probably be my only advice to people is that if you're doing one job, that's cool, but spend some time outside of that job just trying something new. And it might be like, I don't know, going to a different gym that you might, if you're not into training, you might go to a gym and then all of a sudden you start to like that part of it. And that could end up into a job, or it might be trying a different hobby. Or once you start doing something because you actually enjoy it and you like doing it, then that's how you see a pathway to make a job out of it.
I like it. I think the beauty of your two situations is that even though, Francis, you have a job that you've got to turn up for each day, clock on, clock off, you still have, although you get up very early, but you still have time and space around that to, if you want to do other things, like come here once a week and do this, and not that you need to, but if you wanted to start a little business doing whatever, you could. Yeah. Because it's not like, well, you've got to leave home at 7 and you get home at 7. And same with you, same with me. Like we all do. I coach, I consult, I travel, I write, I do media, I do this, I do a bunch of different things. I'm not
underestimating you, right, Craig, how hard it would be for someone who is feeling that, who has those responsibilities, to find the time to listen to themselves, to try to discover what it is that they really want to do. And the fear of having to change everything in their lives to achieve that, the responsibilities, paying the bills, feeding their family, it's not easy. Yeah. But even if you can't turn it into a job, if you can find a way to actually just engage with something that makes you feel alive and in the moment, whatever that is, for the briefest period of time on any one day, then it's worth trying to do it. Because life, can pass you by pretty quick if you're watching the clock, hoping that, that the day will end.
You're just stumbling towards 55.
Yeah. It
or
doesn't
whatever
have to
it
be
is.
that way.
Yeah.
But you have to be brave, I think.
I think there's lots of research out talking about how we touched on this once before, but about the correlation between when especially men retire and depression sets in, and whether or not it's even during work, but we need purpose. We need something to focus on. We need meaning. Like, even if you go, all right, I got $10 million in the bank, I'm just going to sit on the couch. No, it's not going to work, because you're going to be emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally bankrupt.
Yeah. And
you're going to want to, jump off the top step by Tuesday if there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. The biggest challenge for people is, I get asked this all the time, and I don't know I don't have a clear answer, but what's my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. How do I? Well, the simple answer is, well, you get to choose it. It's not like it was pre-designated, so you get to choose it. But I don't know what that is going to be for you, because your purpose is not mine and mine is not yours. So there's this whole notion, this romantic notion of what am I meant to do? Like, what's my life? What will my legacy be?
Yeah.
You know, what's my purpose to the world? You know, what am I going to leave behind?
What is your legacy, Craig?
I don't know what my legacy is, but hopefully it'll be mildly positive.
I think Craig's legacy will be to develop finally the best cheesecake the world has ever seen. You don't have to eat it, but you could learn to bake it for the rest of us, and we would be eternally grateful.
Yeah.
A calorie-free cheesecake.
Yep. Okay. Which will probably just be chemicals.
Last one before we go. So the one thing that you want to do, be create or change in 2016 for you, either personally or professionally.
Oh my gosh.
And if it's not get a man, we're not interested.
Okay, get a man.
All right. Other than that.
I don't know. This is hurting my head. All
Seriously,
this serious
you
talk.
need to start thinking.
Oh my gosh, I didn't come here for cancelling. You go first, Frankie J.
The one thing I want to get out of this year? So what was the question?
Yeah, well, the one thing that you want to do or be or create or change or influence this, and it might just be a better relationship with my daughter, or it might be make $1 million.
Well, that's interesting. I want to get this radio show right. I've always wanted to do breakfast radio, and it's a massive challenge. It's very different to what I've ever done before. And
how is it different? And of course, for those people who don't know, SEN 11:16 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia's only 24-hour sports station. Francis is on 6 a.m. till 9 a.m. with a very well-known David Schwartz, aka the Ox.
Wonderful man, the Ox. Because it's a different rhythm to the day, very different to the afternoons. People are busy getting... It feels completely different. I've never done it before in this format, so it's a new challenge for me. And I want to make it work. And so it's good to feel that... It's like that challenge again to, okay, I've done a whole bunch of different things, but I haven't done this. So
what are you giving it? You've been there 6 weeks?
Yeah, about 8 weeks now.
Well, 8 weeks? What's the score that you're giving you, David, and the show in general? What's the report card saying? Anywhere between?
I think we've started okay.
Do they focus on ratings? Like, do you get a report on ratings?
Yeah, you do. Their first ratings weren't too bad, so we've got a good foundation there. And I've worked with David before, so we've got a good rapport. I'd give us a 6.5, 7. I reckon there's a lot more to come.
You know what's really, and I'm not weeing in your pocket, but great. You hear them a little bit.
A little bit.
Great synergy. Like, they're completely different, but kind of the same.
Yeah.
And there's just. If you had 2 Oxes or 2 Francises, it would be terrible.
Yeah.
But one of each, fantastic.
So every day I go in there and I want it to be as good as it can possibly be. Yeah. And I still never go in there just wanting to get through the 3 hours. That's not enough for me.
But that's why it will be great.
But that's my challenge, is to do it. So that, this, in terms of professionally this year, that's it. Personally, I just, it's been getting old. Stay out of the wheelchair.
Listen to it.
I'm not going to grow my hair back. I've finally given up on that. So.
Try not to kill the kids with a soccer ball next door.
And you're going to quit sugar.
One day I'm going to
quit sugar. Listen to your daughter, your grungy 14-year-old daughter who's becoming an emo as we talk.
And stop being a hoarder.
Give away some of your records. Give up
those Depeche Mode singles that I haven't played for 20 years.
Can you wrap this bitch up, please?
Okay, you have been listening to We've Got Nothing, which is quite possibly the biggest lie ever, because we have given you a lot today. My name's Francis Leeds. You are?
Craig Harper.
And you are?
And I'm Bianca Chatfield.
And shall we do this again soon sometime?
We will. Well done, team.
Sounds great.
Cheesecake for all.